Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Everyday English Podcast. I am so excited that you're here with us today. Whether you're on your morning commute, taking a walk, or just relaxing at home, thank you for choosing to spend this time with us. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I want you to think about something. Picture this. It's late at night. Maybe it's 11 o'clock, maybe it's midnight, or even later. You're lying in bed. The room is dark, the house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep, but you? Your eyes are wide open, staring at the ceiling. And your brain is having a party. It's thinking about that embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago. It's reminding you about the email you forgot to send. It's making you worry about tomorrow, next week, next year. Sound familiar?
Oh, that sounds way too familiar. I think everyone listening right now is nodding their head and saying, yes, that's me. That happens to me all the time. It's such a universal experience, isn't it? And honestly, it can be so frustrating. You're tired, your body is exhausted, you just want to sleep, but your brain has other plans. It's like your brain suddenly becomes your worst enemy at night.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're going to talk about today. Why does this happen? Why does your brain refuse to shut up when you're trying to sleep? What's going on inside your head during those late night hours? And most importantly, what can you do about it? We're going to explore the science, the psychology, and some practical tips that might actually help you get some peace and quiet when you need it most.
This is going to be such a great conversation. I've been looking forward to this topic all week because, honestly, I struggle with this myself. There are nights when I lie in bed for hours and my brain just keeps going and going and going. It's like a hamster on a wheel that never stops running.
I love that image, a hamster on a wheel. That's exactly what it feels like. So let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you can't stop thinking at night. First of all, I think it's important to understand that our brains are incredibly complex organs. They're working all the time, even when we're not aware of it.
That's right. Your brain never truly shuts off. Even when you're sleeping, your brain is active. It's processing information, consolidating memories, and doing all sorts of important work. But the type of brain activity changes depending on what you're doing. When you're busy during the day, when you're working, talking to people, running errands, your brain is focused on those tasks. It's engaged with the external world.
But here's the thing. When everything gets quiet, when you lie down in bed and there's nothing else to focus on, your brain doesn't just turn off. Instead, it turns inward. It starts focusing on internal thoughts, memories, worries, and plans. This is sometimes called the default mode network.
Oh, that's an interesting term, the default mode network. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. So scientists have discovered that when we're not focused on a specific task, a particular network in our brain becomes active. They call it the default mode network because it's what our brain defaults to when we're not doing anything else. This network is involved in self-reflection, thinking about the past, imagining the future, and considering other people's perspectives. It's basically your brain's way of processing life.
So when we're lying in bed at night with nothing to do, this default mode network kicks in and suddenly we're thinking about everything?
Exactly. During the day, we're usually too busy to let our minds wander too much. But at night, when everything is quiet and still, there's nothing stopping this network from taking over. And that's when all those random thoughts start flooding in.
That makes so much sense. But why does it seem like these thoughts are often negative? Like, why do I end up thinking about embarrassing moments or things that went wrong instead of happy memories?
That's such a great question, and it's something that bothers a lot of people. The truth is, our brains are wired to focus on negative things more than positive things. This is called the negativity bias, and it's actually a survival mechanism that evolved over thousands of years.
A survival mechanism? How so?
Well, think about it this way. Imagine you're a human living thousands of years ago. Your survival depends on remembering dangers, threats, and mistakes. If you ate a certain berry and it made you sick, you need to remember that. If you walked into a certain area and encountered a predator, you need to remember that too. Our ancestors who paid attention to negative experiences were more likely to survive and pass on their genes.
Oh, I see. So our brains are basically programmed to focus on the negative because historically that kept us alive.
Exactly. The problem is that in modern life, we don't face the same kinds of dangers. We're not worried about predators or poisonous berries. But our brains haven't fully caught up with modern life. So instead of focusing on real dangers, our brain focuses on social mistakes, work problems, relationship issues, and all the little things that went wrong during the day.
That's fascinating and also a little bit frustrating. So our brains are basically stuck in the past, evolutionarily speaking.
In some ways, yes, but understanding this can actually be helpful. When you realize that your brain is just doing what it evolved to do, it can make those racing thoughts feel a little less personal. It's not that there's something wrong with you, it's just your brain being a brain.
That's actually quite comforting to hear. But let's talk about another factor. I've noticed that my nighttime thinking gets worse when I'm stressed. Is there a connection there?
Absolutely. Stress plays a huge role in nighttime overthinking. When you're stressed, your body produces a hormone called cortisol. You've probably heard of it. It's often called the stress hormone.
Yes, I've heard of cortisol. It's related to the fight or flight response, right?
Exactly. When you're in a stressful situation, your body releases cortisol to help you deal with the threat. It increases your alertness, raises your heart rate, and prepares your body to either fight the danger or run away from it. This was very useful when we faced physical threats. But in modern life, our stress is usually psychological, not physical. We're stressed about deadlines, money, relationships, and the future.
And our bodies can't really tell the difference between a physical threat and a psychological one?
Right. Your body responds to stress in similar ways, regardless of the source. So when you're lying in bed worrying about a presentation at work, your body might be releasing cortisol as if you were facing a real danger. And cortisol makes you more alert, which is the opposite of what you need when you're trying to sleep.
So stress keeps us awake, and then being awake and tired makes us more stressed, which keeps us awake even more. It's like a vicious cycle.
Exactly. It's a feedback loop that can be very hard to break. And here's another interesting thing. Studies have shown that cortisol levels naturally rise in the early morning hours to help you wake up. But if you're already stressed, your cortisol levels might be elevated at night too, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
That explains so much. I've definitely noticed that when I'm going through a stressful period in my life, my sleep suffers tremendously, and then the lack of sleep makes everything feel worse.
It really does. Sleep deprivation affects your mood, your concentration, your decision-making, and even your physical health. It's so important to address these issues, and we'll talk about some solutions later in our conversation.
I can't wait for that part. But first, let's talk about another thing I've noticed. Sometimes my brain won't stop thinking because I suddenly remember all the things I need to do. It's like my brain turns into a to-do list at the worst possible time.
Oh, this is so common. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, named after a Russian psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik. She discovered that people remember uncompleted tasks better than completed ones. Your brain holds on to unfinished business because it wants you to complete it.
So my brain is basically nagging me about my to-do list?
In a way, yes. Your brain doesn't want you to forget important tasks, so it keeps reminding you about them. During the day, you might be distracted by other things and not notice these reminders as much. But at night, when everything is quiet, these uncompleted tasks suddenly pop into your mind.
That's actually kind of helpful of my brain, even if it's annoying. It's trying to make sure I don't forget anything.
Exactly. The intention is good, but the timing is terrible. One thing that can help is writing down your to-do list before bed. When you write things down, you're essentially telling your brain, I've got this. I won't forget. You can relax now.
Oh, I've heard of that technique. It's called a brain dump, right?
Yes. A brain dump is when you write down everything that's on your mind. All your tasks, worries, ideas, everything. It's a way of getting those thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Many people find that this helps them sleep better because their brain feels like it can let go of those thoughts.
I really need to try that. I usually just lie there trying to remember everything, which probably makes it worse.
Definitely try it. Keep a notebook next to your bed. If you think of something you need to do, write it down immediately. Then you can go back to trying to sleep knowing that you won't forget.
That's such practical advice. Now, let's talk about something else that keeps many people awake at night. Worry about the future. I spend so much time thinking about what might happen tomorrow, next week, or next month, and most of the time, the things I worry about never even happen.
This is such a common problem, and it's related to something psychologists call anticipatory anxiety. It's when you feel anxious about something that hasn't happened yet and might never happen. Your brain is trying to prepare you for potential problems by thinking through different scenarios.
But it doesn't feel like preparation. It feels like torture.
I completely understand. The thing is, our brains are prediction machines. They're constantly trying to predict what will happen next so that we can be prepared. This is usually helpful. It's why you can catch a ball, finish someone's sentence, or plan your day. But sometimes this prediction system goes into overdrive, especially at night when there's nothing else to focus on.
So my brain is basically trying to help me by imagining worst-case scenarios?
In a way, yes. It's trying to prepare you for potential threats. But the problem is that it often focuses on unlikely scenarios, and it doesn't know when to stop. You end up worrying about things that are very unlikely to happen, and this just makes you feel worse without actually helping you.
Is there a way to stop this kind of thinking?
There are several techniques that can help. One of them is called cognitive reframing. This is when you challenge your negative thoughts and try to see the situation from a different perspective. For example, if you're lying in bed thinking, what if I mess up my presentation tomorrow? You can challenge that thought by asking yourself, what evidence do I have that I'll mess up? Have I prepared well? Have I done successful presentations before?
So you're basically arguing with your own brain?
In a way, yes. You're arguing with the validity of your worries. Often when you really examine your fears, you realize that they're not as likely or as catastrophic as they seem in the middle of the night.
That sounds helpful, but also challenging. It's hard to think rationally when you're tired and anxious.
You're absolutely right. And that's why it's also important to practice these techniques during the day when you're calmer and can think more clearly. The more you practice cognitive reframing during the day, the easier it becomes to use it at night.
That makes sense. Practice makes perfect, right?
Exactly. Another helpful technique is mindfulness meditation. This is when you focus on the present moment instead of worrying about the past or future. You might focus on your breathing, the sensations in your body, or sounds in your environment. The goal is to anchor yourself in the present moment.
I've tried meditation before, but I found it really hard. My mind kept wandering.
That's completely normal, especially when you're just starting out. The key is not to judge yourself when your mind wanders. When you notice that you've started thinking about something else, gently bring your attention back to your breath or whatever you were focusing on. This act of noticing and returning is actually the exercise. It's like a workout for your brain.
Oh, I never thought of it that way. So it's okay that my mind wanders?
Absolutely. The mind wanders. That's what minds do. The practice is in recognizing when it has wandered and bringing it back. Over time, with regular practice, you'll find that your mind wanders less and you'll be better able to focus on the present moment.
I think I need to give meditation another try. Maybe I was too hard on myself before.
Many people give up on meditation because they think they're doing it wrong, but there's really no wrong way to meditate. As long as you're trying to focus and bringing your attention back when it wanders, you're meditating.
Let's talk about another reason why people can't sleep at night. Screens and technology. I know this is a big one.
Oh, this is huge. Our screens, whether they're phones, tablets, computers, or televisions, emit something called blue light. Blue light is part of the visible light spectrum, and it's everywhere, including in sunlight. During the day, blue light is fine and even beneficial. It helps regulate our circadian rhythm, which is our internal body clock.
But at night, it's a problem.
Yes, when our eyes are exposed to blue light at night, it sends a signal to our brain that it's still daytime. This suppresses the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy. So when you scroll through your phone in bed, you're essentially telling your brain, don't go to sleep yet, it's still daytime.
Oh no, I'm definitely guilty of this. I always look at my phone before bed.
You're not alone. Most people do this, but studies have shown that using screens before bed can significantly impact sleep quality. People who use their phones before bed take longer to fall asleep, spend less time in deep sleep, and feel more tired the next day.
That's scary. What's the solution? Should we just stop using our phones at night?
Ideally, yes. Sleep experts recommend putting away all screens at least 1 hour before bed. This gives your brain time to wind down and start producing melatonin naturally.
1 hour? That seems like a long time.
I know it can be challenging, especially if you're used to scrolling through social media or watching videos before bed, but the benefits are really worth it. If 1 hour seems too long, start with 30 minutes and gradually increase it.
What should I do instead of looking at my phone?
Great question. There are so many things you can do. You could read a physical book, not an ebook on a screen. You could listen to calming music or a podcast. You could do some gentle stretching or yoga. You could practice meditation or deep breathing exercises. You could journal or write in a diary. You could have a conversation with someone you live with. The options are endless.
Those all sound like nice ways to end a day. Maybe I need to create a bedtime routine.
Bedtime routines are incredibly helpful. When you do the same things every night before bed, your brain starts to associate those activities with sleep. It's like creating a signal that tells your brain, okay, it's time to wind down now.
What should a good bedtime routine include?
Well, it depends on the person. Everyone is different. But generally, a good bedtime routine might include dimming the lights in your home about an hour before bed, doing something relaxing like reading or taking a warm bath, avoiding heavy meals and caffeine in the evening, keeping your bedroom cool and dark, and going to bed at the same time every night.
The same time every night, even on weekends?
Yes, ideally. I know it's tempting to stay up late on Friday and Saturday nights and sleep in on weekends, but this can actually disrupt your sleep pattern. It's called social jet lag, and it can make Monday mornings feel even harder.
Social jet lag. That's a new term for me.
It's when your sleep schedule on weekends is different from your sleep schedule on weekdays. Your body gets confused about when it should be awake and when it should be asleep. It's similar to the jet lag you feel when you travel across time zones, except you haven't actually gone anywhere.
That's really interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Consistency is key when it comes to sleep. The more consistent your sleep schedule is, the easier it will be to fall asleep and wake up, and the better quality your sleep will be.
Let's talk about something else that I think affects nighttime thinking. Caffeine. I love my coffee, but I've heard it can affect sleep.
Caffeine is definitely a factor for many people. Caffeine is a stimulant, which means it makes you feel more awake and alert. It works by blocking a chemical in your brain called adenosine, which normally builds up throughout the day and makes you feel sleepy.
So caffeine basically tricks your brain into thinking you're not tired.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Caffeine doesn't actually eliminate your tiredness, it just hides it. And caffeine can stay in your system for a long time. The half-life of caffeine is about 5 to 6 hours. This means that if you drink a cup of coffee at 3 in the afternoon, half of that caffeine is still in your body at 8 or 9 at night.
Wow, I didn't realize it stayed in your system that long.
Many people don't. They might have a cup of coffee in the afternoon and not connect it to their difficulty sleeping later that night. The general recommendation is to avoid caffeine at least 6 hours before bed, but some people are more sensitive to caffeine than others. You might need to experiment to find out what works for you.
I usually have coffee in the morning, but sometimes I have tea in the afternoon. Does tea have caffeine too?
Yes, most tea contains caffeine, although usually less than coffee. Black tea has the most caffeine, followed by green tea and white tea. Herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint typically don't have caffeine, so those can be a good choice for the evening.
Good to know. I'll try switching to herbal tea in the afternoon and see if it helps.
That's a great idea. Chamomile tea in particular has been used for centuries as a sleep aid. It contains an antioxidant called apigenin that may help promote sleepiness and reduce insomnia.
Let's shift gears a little bit. We've talked about why the brain won't stop thinking at night and some general tips. But what about when the overthinking becomes really severe? When does it become a problem that needs professional help?
That's a really important question. Occasional difficulty sleeping is normal. Everyone has nights when they can't sleep. But if you're regularly lying awake for hours, if your lack of sleep is affecting your daily life, your work, your relationships, your mood, then it might be time to seek help.
What kind of help is available?
There are several options. First, you could talk to your primary care doctor. They can rule out any medical conditions that might be affecting your sleep and might recommend some treatments. Second, you could see a mental health professional, like a psychologist or therapist. They can help you work through any anxiety, stress, or other psychological issues that might be contributing to your sleep problems.
Are there specific therapies that help with sleep?
Yes, one of the most effective treatments for chronic insomnia is something called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI. This is a structured program that helps you identify and change thoughts and behaviors that cause or worsen sleep problems. It's been shown to be very effective, often even more effective than sleep medications.
That's encouraging to hear. What does CBTI involve?
CBTI typically includes several components. There's cognitive therapy, which helps you identify and change negative thoughts about sleep. There's stimulus control, which helps you associate your bed and bedroom with sleep. There's sleep restriction, which limits the time you spend in bed to increase your sleep drive. And there's sleep hygiene education, which teaches you good habits for sleep.
That sounds very comprehensive. How long does the treatment usually take?
Most CBTI programs consist of about 6 to 8 sessions, often weekly. Many people see significant improvements within just a few weeks. And the best part is that the benefits tend to last long after the treatment ends, because you've learned skills that you can use for the rest of your life.
That's really good to know.
I think many people don't realize that professional help is available for sleep problems.
Absolutely. Sleep problems are so common, and many people just accept them as normal part of life. But you don't have to suffer. If your sleep is affecting your quality of life, please reach out for help.
Let's talk about some more practical tips that our listeners can try tonight. What are some things they can do right now to help their brains calm down at night?
Great idea. Let's go through some practical strategies. First, we already mentioned the brain dump. Before bed, write down everything that's on your mind. Tasks you need to do, things you're worried about, ideas you had. Get it all out of your head and onto paper.
That's a good one. What else?
Second, try deep breathing exercises. One popular technique is called 4-7-8 breathing. You breathe in for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and breathe out slowly for 8 seconds. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps you relax.
I've heard of that one. It's supposed to be really calming.
It is. Another technique is progressive muscle relaxation. This is where you systematically tense and then relax different muscle groups in your body. You might start with your toes, then move to your feet, your legs, and so on, all the way up to your head. This helps release physical tension that you might not even realize you're holding.
That sounds like it could be helpful. What other tips do you have?
Third, create a sleep-friendly environment. Make sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet. Use blackout curtains if there's light from outside. Use earplugs or a white noise machine if there is noise. Make sure your mattress and pillows are comfortable.
The environment really does make a difference, doesn't it?
It really does. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary for sleep. If possible, try to use your bedroom only for sleep and intimacy. Don't work in bed. Don't watch TV in bed. Don't scroll through your phone in bed. This helps your brain associate the bedroom with sleep.
That's hard because I live in a small apartment, but I understand the principle.
I understand. Not everyone has the luxury of a dedicated bedroom, but even small changes can help. For example, you could put away your laptop and turn off the TV at least an hour before bed. You could use your phone only outside of bed. Every little bit helps.
What about when you're already in bed and you can't sleep? What should you do then?
This is important. If you've been lying in bed for more than 20 minutes and you can't fall asleep, don't just lie there getting frustrated. Get up and do something relaxing in another room, if possible, until you feel sleepy. This might seem counterintuitive, but lying in bed awake can actually make insomnia worse because your brain starts associating the bed with being awake and frustrated.
That's interesting. I always thought I should just stay in bed and try harder to sleep.
That's what most people think, but it often backfires. When you try too hard to sleep, you become more alert and anxious, which makes it even harder to sleep. It's better to get up, do something calming, and then return to bed when you feel genuinely sleepy.
What should you do when you get up? What counts as a calming activity?
You could read a book, but choose something boring or relaxing, not a thriller that will keep you engaged. You could do some gentle stretching. You could listen to calm music or nature sounds. You could meditate or do breathing exercises. The key is to avoid anything stimulating, like watching TV, using your phone, or doing work.
And keep the lights dim, right?
Exactly. Keep the lights low so that you don't disrupt your melatonin production. And when you start feeling sleepy, go back to bed. If you still can't sleep after another 20 minutes, get up again. This trains your brain to associate being in bed with being asleep.
That's really helpful advice. What about naps? Are they good or bad for nighttime sleep?
Naps can be a double-edged sword. A short nap, around 20 to 30 minutes, can be refreshing and improve your mood and performance. But long naps or naps late in the day can interfere with nighttime sleep. They can reduce your sleep drive, making it harder to fall asleep at night.
So if I need to nap, I should keep it short and early in the day.
Yes, exactly. If you find that you need to nap regularly, it might be a sign that you're not getting enough sleep at night. Try to address the root cause by improving your nighttime sleep.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about something that I think many of our listeners deal with: anxiety. Anxiety and nighttime overthinking seem to go hand in hand.
They absolutely do. Anxiety disorders are very common, and one of the most common symptoms is difficulty sleeping. When you're anxious, your brain is in a constant state of hypervigilance, always looking for threats. This makes it very hard to relax and fall asleep.
What can someone with anxiety do to improve their sleep?
First and foremost, if you think you might have an anxiety disorder, please consider seeking professional help. Anxiety is very treatable, and getting help can significantly improve your quality of life, including your sleep. Beyond that, many of the techniques we've discussed today can help with anxiety-related sleep problems. Deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, meditation, cognitive reframing, and maintaining good sleep hygiene can all help calm an anxious mind.
Are there any specific strategies for anxious thoughts at night?
One technique that many people find helpful is called worry time. This is when you schedule a specific time during the day, not close to bedtime, to think about your worries. During this time, you write down all your worries and think about possible solutions. The idea is that by giving your worries dedicated attention, you're less likely to think about them at night.
So you're basically telling your brain, I'll worry about this later.
Exactly. And surprisingly, it often works. When a worry pops up at night, you can remind yourself that you have worry time scheduled and the thought can wait until then.
That's a clever technique. I'm definitely going to try that.
Another helpful strategy is to challenge catastrophic thoughts. Anxious people often imagine worst-case scenarios, but most of the time, these worst-case scenarios never happen. When you notice yourself catastrophizing, ask yourself, what's the most likely outcome? Usually, the most likely outcome is much less scary than the worst-case scenario.
That's true. I often worry about things that never happen.
Studies have shown that about 85% of the things people worry about never happen. And of the 15% that do happen, 79% of people say they handled the situation better than expected or learned something valuable from it. So really, only a tiny fraction of our worries are justified.
That's such a reassuring statistic. I'm going to remember that the next time I'm lying awake worrying.
Please do. And remember, your brain is just trying to protect you. It evolved to look for dangers, but in modern life, most of the dangers it focuses on aren't really dangerous. They're just uncomfortable or challenging, and you're more capable of handling challenges than your anxious brain gives you credit for.
That's such a beautiful and empowering way to think about it. Our brains are just trying to help, even if sometimes they help a little too much.
Exactly. Your brain is not your enemy. It's just doing what it evolved to do. With understanding, patience, and the right strategies, you can work with your brain to achieve the peace and rest you deserve.
This has been such an enlightening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much.
I'm so glad. Before we end, let's summarize the main points for our listeners. Why does your brain won't stop thinking at night? First, your default mode network becomes active when there's nothing else to focus on. Second, your brain has a negativity bias that makes you focus on worries and mistakes. Third, stress increases cortisol, which keeps you alert. Fourth, the Zeigarnik effect makes you remember uncompleted tasks. And fifth, screens emit blue light that suppresses melatonin.
And what can you do about it? Create a consistent sleep schedule. Avoid screens before bed. Practice relaxation techniques like deep breathing and meditation. Write down your thoughts before bed. Create a sleep-friendly environment. And if problems persist, seek professional help.
Those are all excellent points. And remember, improving sleep takes time. Be patient with yourself. Try different strategies and see what works for you. And most importantly, don't give up. Better sleep is possible.
Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. I know our listeners have found this incredibly valuable.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who listened today. We hope this episode has given you some insights and practical tips for those nights when your brain just won't stop thinking. Remember, you're not alone in this. Millions of people around the world experience the same thing. But with the right understanding and tools, you can find peace at night.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Everyday English Podcast and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more learners like you. And if you have any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please let us know.
Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your sleep, and keep learning. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Sleep well tonight.